Hey Bible lovers, I wanted to shoot a quick intro to this video just to offer a little bit of explanation. There comes a point where you're going to see me kind of wrestling with something, and I was tempted to edit it out, but I decided to leave it in because I feel like I said some important things, and I decided to contact the publisher and kind of share my thoughts with them, and we interacted back and forth, and here's what I've come away with. When you have a dynamic where you're trying to make a men and women study Bible that's authored by the same person, it does bring some complications because women are not men. Men are not women. We face different issues and we don't understand things the same way. And that's kind of something they came across with the Courage for Life Study Bible that is the work of Ann White. They made a women's edition and they made a men's edition. You will notice in the beginning there is a letter that's pretty well identical. And in the women's edition, the letter is credited to Ann White, but in the men's edition, it is credited to Robbie Goss. Now, here is what happened. Because they wanted that male voicing in the men's edition, Robbie Goss read through it and changed some of the wording up a little bit to give it that male voicing. So he is a contributor to the men's edition, although he is not in the women's edition. So the intent is not to credit a man with a woman's work here. The intent is to give it that male voicing, and so it's more relatable to men. And also the personal profiles, as I point out in the video, one is of men and the other one is of women. So you want a man writing a man's profile, you want a woman writing a woman's profile. Ultimately, this is an amazing tool, and regardless of who is behind it, whether it be a man or a woman, it's beneficial to both men and women. And we also understand that men want Bibles that are specific to them, and women want Bibles that are specific to them. While this is not so much the case with this one, there are some areas where this one is tweaked to be more suitable for men, and then this one is left alone in Ann White's female voicing. So just thought you might want to have that information going into this video. And I decided to leave the parts in there where you see me kind of wrestling with this because I wanted you to hear my thoughts on how I feel about women in authority, women in ministry, women teaching, and things like that. I think that's important stuff. So anyhow, check it out. Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols, and I'm here to bring you your Nichols Worth. And today from Tyndale, we have the Courage for Life Study Bible for men and for women. Now stick with me to the end as I give some personal thoughts, but let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got here. First of all, these come in several different cover options, especially the women's. They have paperback and they have hardback, so whatever your budget or whatever your preference, you're probably going to be able to find something that you really like. And you can see this one looks quite a bit more masculine. I do think that it's very interesting they chose the lime green on the stitching. Not sure where that came from, but it's definitely a bold choice, and you can definitely see the thread work, so that's something that could be positive. This one also has the lime green, which it makes a little more sense on this one because you see the colors within it. One disappointment with these is Tyndale is usually very good about using a synthetic liner, and in both of these, they used a paper liner. I also cannot tell if there's any reinforcement tape here. I think maybe I feel some, but I'm not certain on that. Another small disappointment is the ribbons. Ribbons aren't a big deal, but these are 1/8 inch satin ribbons, but they're only single-sided. You can see there's no shininess on that side, and there is shininess on that side. That's such an inexpensive thing, but with all that said, we're going to start with the women's one. It comes with a bookmark, and this shows you the theme for courage: commit, overcome, uncover, replace, accept, grasp, and embrace. So once you get into the Bible itself, it has a letter from the writer and maker of this material, Ann White. I've watched her video. If you haven't watched that, it's very informative, so check it out. It's available on Tyndale's YouTube page. It also has a prayer that's excerpted from one of her books. And then once you get into the table of contents and how to use the Bible, you're also going to notice this is Filament enabled. So not only are you going to have the study tools for the Courage for Life series written by Ann White, but you're also going to have all of your extra bells and whistles that come with the Filament Enablement app with all the study tools and maps. So that's pretty slick. As we move into it, of course, there's a note to the readers from the publishers, and then there is a introduction to the New Living Translation and its philosophy, and then it tells you how to use this Bible for women. It gives you some of the basic steps. Now, one of the things that's real important with this is they encourage the inductive Bible study method, to where that encourages you to ask 3 basic questions. Number 1, who was the message originally intended for? When was the message given? And then how can I use this message to apply to my life today? And then there are 4 basic study steps in this. You start with prayer, then you observe by reading, and you ask the questions. And then you, with those questions, interpret it what does this mean for today? And then you apply it. So this is really teaching us how to do exegesis or hermeneutical study. So really good stuff. This is a good method. Of course, it's giving you some of the features and how to use it, and the list of contributors, and white. And then when you get into this, one thing I really like about it is it gives you some basic introductions. It gives you timelines to let you know where you are in the story. But then it's broken down into a little story, a little topic in the beginning, and I'll show you an index in the back. It's really cool with all this. And then it encourages you to pray, Abba Father, to pray a prayer kind of in theme with this, then to observe what you've read, to interpret what you've read by asking those questions, and then to apply what you've read to your life by journaling and living it out. And they also have these listen to the word reference boxes here and some space for you to take your notes so you can actually do your journaling within the Bible itself. A lot of that journal space is taken up, but you can still take a little bit. I love that they let you kind of take this on your own and study on your own. And again, every page you have your listen to the word, you have your ability to pray, observe, interpret, and apply to your life, which is the entire theme of the Courage for Life study material that Ann White wrote. You may want to check out her website on that. I'll put that in the video description. And then they have personal profiles, and that's where the other one gets a little bit more unique, and we'll talk about that in a second. So they will have courageous women of faith. This happens to be Eve, but it's not just biblical characters. They use people from all walks of life, from all eras of life. So now let's just move to the poetic settings so you can see those really quick. And you can see they're typical to your poetic settings, center justified, but I love the accent colors in this, and check this out. It's color-coded through each section of the Bible, and if you look at the table of contents again, it'll show you that each section of the Bible is color-coded. So each of these color codes are going to be found right here. So you can go to that specific place in the Bible. I thought that was pretty neat. Now, let's move to the New Testament. The words of Christ are in black. I like that. And I really like these accents, just very feminine, very nice. And then let's move to the tools in the back, because I think this is something that you might find very important. Once you get past the book of Revelation, there's a glossary of theological terms. Now, these are terms that are in the Bible, but these are also terms that are popularly used throughout history by Christians. So if you don't know what AD means, it explains it. If you don't know what OT means, it explains it. Millennialism, it'll give you a few different views. This actually tells you to go see millennial. So it's going to give you multiple views on that. Once you get past the glossary of theological terms, you have the Courage for Life topical index. So any topic that you want to study, what it does is it takes you to that topic, and then it gives you the title of that topic. So you go to that page, and then at the bottom, remember when I showed you there's a topic in each one of these? It'll take you to that. So pretty slick. But once you get past this, there's one more thing that I thought was pretty cool. And I've not seen this in any other Tyndale Bible. I actually looked in my Life Application Study Bible to see if it was in there, and it's not. This is the Life Application Topic Index. So it'll take you through any topic in the Bible. Now, this isn't exhaustive, but there's several, and then it'll give you just a little breakdown of that topic and kind of give you a little bit of interpretation. So this probably alone is what would qualify this as a study Bible for me, because this stuff is not study Bible material. There are no references to speak of in this thing. There's only textual notes on the bottom. If I didn't mention, this is an 8.5 point font. Now, let's go to the men's one. The men's one's very similar. You have your letter, and I'm going to come back to that, and you just have some more masculine accent colors. Another thing that I thought was really interesting is in the women's version, whenever you pray, they say Abba Father, but in the men's version, they just say Father. Actually, Jesus used that as a term for like daddy. I guess you don't hear a lot of men calling their dad daddy, but Jesus used the word Abba. I don't see this as a thing exclusively for women. And you're going to see that everything is virtually the same other than this. These each have 82 personal profiles of people in this Bible. And this will be men of courage. And you'll see in this one, it doesn't feature Eve, but it features Abraham. And I am guessing that these articles are written by Robbie Goss, because that's who is mentioned in the beginning. So these are pretty excellent resources, and I really recommend them. But there's one thing, and I want y'all to hear me out. There's something about this that I want to point out to you as the audience. But right here, we have the exact same letter. And this letter says, I have provided book intros. This one says, we have provided book intros. And it has Robbie Goss's name on it. This one has Ann White's name on it. These are the exact same letters other than one says I and one says we. I understand that Robbie Goss is a contributor in this, and he's not in this. But they're both Ann White's work. And this is even a little more interesting, is when we get to the salvation invitation and we have the prayer, in this one it lists this as adapted from Courage for Life by Ann White. This one, it does not. And what they did is they took a few little phrases here and changed them up a little bit, but it's virtually identical. One thing I feel passionately about is if a woman does something, then a woman should get credit for it. And if a woman does good scholarship that can benefit men, then we should support it just because it's good scholarship. Let's just go ahead and acknowledge a woman did a great work here. And she is perfectly capable of teaching us and helping us to learn something. I know there are going to be some people in my audience who disagree with this, but this is where I stand on this issue. I believe that women contribute a lot to society, and we can learn from them, and they can teach us. There you have it. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.